If you would like free handwritten notes on this topic, please head over to my site. You can find the link in the description below. In this video I'll be going through HIV. If you have not seen my previous video explaining about viruses, it's good to watch that first to have an understanding about how they work before continuing on with this video. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. This is a retrovirus due to the presence of reverse transcriptase enzyme. It converts RNA into DNA. The virus does not need a vector to spread. Instead, it is exchanged by direct contact with bodily fluids, for example during unprotected sexual intercourse, breastfeeding, or exchanging needles during drug use. It is important that in your exam you are able to label the different parts of the HIV virus. So, on to how HIV actually infects us. HIV attaches to a CD4 T helper cell receptor, and it avoids detection by changing its protein code. Then the viral RNA enters the cell, and reverse transcriptase produces a DNA copy which is inserted into our cell's DNA. Now, each time the T lymphocyte divides, viral DNA doubles but remains inactive. At this stage, it is important to try and catch the mild flu-like symptoms that they present with in order to be diagnosed early, rather than missing this step and getting diagnosed later. As time passes, the viral DNA becomes active and more HIV particles are made, which kills the lymphocytes, releasing the HIV particles. Over time, the virus number reduces the number of T helper cells, which means that the B cells are no longer activated, hence no antibodies are produced. When the number of T cells reaches a certain point, it leads to AIDS. AIDS stands for Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome. Now, this person with AIDS is at risk of opportunistic infections such as TB. So, eventually, it is not the virus that kills people, it is that the virus is destroying the immune system, leading them to becoming more susceptible to infection, and that is what kills them. There is no treatment to get rid of the virus, but you can reduce the number of virus present, so that once the levels of the virus in your body are undetectable, you will now no longer be able to pass the HIV virus on to other people. Now, monoclonal antibodies. These are identical copies of specific antibodies. In order to make these, mice are vaccinated to form antibodies, which is a major ethical issue. Then, the spleen cells of the mouse that make the antibodies are collected and are fused with myeloma cells, which are tumour cells that replicate rapidly. These fused cells are then grown in the lab, and the antibodies are collected. Monoclonal antibodies are also used in pregnancy tests too. They bind onto the HCG hormone released by pregnant women and detected in the urine. The monoclonal antibodies are found at the end of the pregnancy step where women urinate, and if there is HCG in the urine, it will bind onto the antibodies and form a pattern, for example a cross or two lines to show a positive result. Finally, the Elisa Test. These are used to see if a patient has antibodies against an antigen. Direct uses one antibody and Indirect uses two. The Indirect Elisa test for HIV works if an antibody is present, it will bind to the HIV antigen, and then the second antibody will then be added, which is attached to an enzyme. The enzyme will react with the substrate to form a coloured product. If a colour is seen, it means that antibodies are present against the HIV antigen, so the patient must have been exposed to HIV to have the antibodies, so they are HIV positive. To aid your learning with my videos, you can purchase all these notes in the form of an AS revision guide. For those who are more traditional and would like a hard copy, you can get this from Amazon. And for those who would like to have a PDF version of these notes to annotate on an iPad or laptop, you can get it from Etsy. The link for both of these is in the description box below. I hope you found this video useful, and please give this video a like. If you want to see more videos like this, then please subscribe.